Mr. Johnson, Mr. Johnson. No. Mr. Ossoff, aye. Ms. Hassan, aye. Mr. Schatz, aye. Ms. Warren, aye. Mr. Cotton, no. Mr. Scott of Florida, no. Mr. Ricketts, no.
Hi guys, sorry for the last minute stuff, but I wanted to cover this
Mr.
for you.
Schumer,
I'm going to have this
Mr.
on live.
Schumer,
I will be
aye.
in and out, but obviously I'll
Mr.
make the screen bigger when the House
Mr.
comes back. They're about an
Tuberville,
hour and 35 minutes
no.
late,
Mr.
as you can tell. And
Mr.
in the
Kennedy,
background, there's
no.
other stuff going on at the corners. But if you guys want to talk about anything specific, do me a favor, throw it in the chat, and I will definitely do something about it. Also, do me a favor, guys, hit the thumbs up button for me. It does help draw some people in and to get this information out to everybody. Also, I will be, we'll do other things to try and break the algorithm. So, hello from Eastern Washington. Gotcha,
Mr.
Danielle.
Hoven,
Nice to see
Mr.
you.
Hoven,
Jammer, good to see you.
no. Mr.
All I want
Sanders,
for
Mr.
Christmas is a new
Sanders,
government. All
aye.
right, I'm gonna step back for a minute. I'm gonna get some of LP's world famous homemade chili. I'm gonna show you a picture of it here, but anyway, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and do that, and so just enjoy what you're doing, Hello from Southern Missouri. Good to see you, my friend Daniel. Make sure you guys, all you people, you new people, make sure you hit that subscribe button. It definitely does help out. Hell, you know what I'm gonna do? Yeah, here's what I'm gonna do. Here's what I'm gonna do. Let's do this. No, they're not. What do you believe? Do you believe the government? If so, put a two. If you believe Donald Trump and you believe the mayor, I'm gonna steal that. Put a one. I'm gonna go back to this. I'm gonna throw it in there.
Mr.
I'm gonna
Rounds,
put you
no.
over here so that people can see whenever they join up, they can see that they have joined up and get their little recognition stuff. All right, guys, I'm gonna step away for a minute. Put something in the chat. No, not the word something. Something to talk about. I'm gonna go heat up some of my homemade chili.
Mr. Lee, no. Mr. Warnock, aye. Mr. King, aye.
Yes, Cindy, that's on the Senate side. I don't know. It's hard to tell, and I'm kind of afraid to. I'm gonna push a button, but I don't know what's gonna happen to be honest with you. So let's here we go. All right, they just have. Yeah, I dropped that. The house stuff got dropped, but that's okay. I'm just trying to find out. With the house, you can actually see everything that they're doing. Um, let's see here. But they use a different system than the Senate does, which is really ridiculous. Let's see here. Floor proceedings. It doesn't say votes. Maybe there's automatic. December 19th. Agreed to motion to
Mr.
proceed. This is
Cornyn,
from
no.
yesterday. All right, so there's no way for me to figure that out. So we're gonna get back onto the House stuff, and the Senate is just gonna be like, Mr. Ramrod, Mr. Smoky Hole, Mr. Nay, Mr. I don't like America, nay. That's what we're gonna be getting. So names with no and a. Yes, yes. What's your hats? Remind me of the Teletubbies. I love them. Oh my God. Oh, I don't know. Oh, Rose, you're killing me. You're killing me, Rose. Uh, we have to wait until after lunch before. So Catitude sent me all of the Teletubby headbands. to wear. And she knows that if she buys them for me, that I will wear them live. How many people are in here? Maybe if there's not a lot of people in here, maybe I'll wear them. There's only 16 people in here. Brown's an SD senator voted no. Gotcha. Well, I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I can't figure out what they're doing because the House has a completely different system. So with the House, I mean, as you can see it on the screen right there, I can make it a little bit bigger for you. That is not the right button. Did I push the right button on this thing? What am I doing? No, none of these are the right button. City 18, where are we at here? Push this one. So with the House, you can actually see everything that they are that what they're actually happened during their schedule. You can see everything. So when they pop back in, I might just leave it like that. I don't know if that's too cluttering or not. And it seems a little doesn't seem that clean to me. So we're gonna go back to that right there.
Mr. Bozeman,
But you can
Mr.
see
Bozeman,
everything that they're talking about.
no.
So with the Senate, it doesn't do that. So the green one, the green one. Debbie says, "I'm back, but driving." I got you. I got you. All right, I gotta go get my chili. I gotta get my lunch. It's gonna get cold.
Mr. Mullen, no. Mr. Grassley, no. Mr. Murphy, aye. Miss Ernst, no. Mrs. Capito, no. Mr. Kelly, aye.
Oh, damn it. Damn it. All right, what do we got? What's going on? What's going on here? All right, there we go. Yeah, if you want to make a comment, you got to be a subscriber. So it's just that easy. Hold on. I need my chat. Why is that chat so? What is going on here? That is ginormous. Top chat, live chat.
Miss
There we go.
Cinema, aye.
Ginormous. Actually, I can probably see my chat. I think I fixed my chat. Um, Shut it down. Loretta says, shut it down. Yeah, here's the thing. That half of me wants it to be that way, but the other half really wants me to be like, guys, jig's up, game's over. People aren't playing your stupid game anymore. You're not passing these 1,500 page bills anymore. And I have to correct myself because I kept saying in the live stream last night or yesterday about this. Actually, it was last night. That it was 16 pages. It was actually 160 pages, but significantly different. significantly different, you know.
Mrs.
Um,
Murray, Mrs. Murray,
my guess is
aye.
that they're late because they're still negotiating with enough of the people with red ties to make them happy, to make them happy. You know, promises are being made. You know, they don't want to pass this. There's no reason they can't pass it with all Republicans. You know what I'm saying? And you're going to get that one guy, frickin' Chip Roy or whatever his name is. There's no appeasing this guy. You know what I'm saying? So it's going to be it'll be interesting to see what happens because shut it down, man. We're at that point now. We just don't care. Oh, I mixed it up. I can't show you this mess I just mixed, guys. My God, can I cook? Damn, I can cook. All right, let's see here. Make that bigger. Let's make this.
Mr. Heinrich, Mr. Heinrich,
There we go.
aye.
They're threatening us with a good time. I love it, Harry, man. And I don't recognize you. Welcome to this. Welcome to the stream. Miko, they don't put American people first. Shut it down. Exactly. I like the picture of you talking on the walkie-talkie. You must got your license. No, I do not. I have a GMRS license. That's a GMRS radio. I think anyway. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. What I should be doing right now instead of this is reading the instructions for that giveaway radio so that I can do the video and then give the radio away. But, you know, life has got me doing different things. So pork fingers. Would we even notice a shutdown? Honestly, no. So, you know, I've been meaning to do this. Let me try this over here.
Mr. Barrasso, no. Mr. Cardin, aye.
What is going on here? Try it first. All right, fine. I'll log in. Jesus, this is stupid.
Mr. Markey, aye. Mr. Young, no. Mr. Risch, no. Mrs. Shaheen, aye.
Something was happening. Okay, so eat my lunch. I've got some of the steps of what would actually happen during a government shutdown, so I'll be sharing those with you here shortly. Let's see here. I'm ready for a big change from this normal. Gotcha. Let's see here. And let's see here. Government worker here, happy to shut it down. We got to do better.
Mr.
It will hurt me
Romney,
financially, but our
no.
founding fathers sacrificed more for our
no.
paycheck. I like it, man. I like it. As simple small, simple life. Gotcha. The only real effect will be the national parks will close. Yeah, that's almost immediate. Tax for homestead. The national parks will shut down.
Mr. Booker, Mr. Booker, aye. Mr. Blumenthal, Mr. Blumenthal, aye.
What's up, Pastor? Oh, I'm on the big screen. All right, West Virginia Pappy. That still blows my mind when people send me pictures of me like on their TVs. That's kind of it feels weird. Nice. Russia bombed several embassies in Kiev, Ukraine overnight. Yeah, there's there's a lot of pressure with everybody trying to take advantage of what's happening in the world. It's like all these nations have turned into opportunists.
Mr.
And
Bud,
it's not
no.
healthy for the world. Chicken McNug, what's up?
Ms. Klobuchar, aye.
Absolutely true. 100% true, Miko. They always try to justify their taxes. They always, everything, what's scarier are these, governmental rules that are basically turned into laws written and approved by unelected officials. You know,
Mr. Graham,
Alaska Indoor
Mr.
Grow, don't
Graham,
recognize you. Welcome to the
no.
channel. Be safe, stay strong. Alaska tribes will protect our government. I gotcha. The only that would get shut down would be things public would actually find useful. I know, right? Poke the bear, bear wakes up. I don't like it. I'm almost done, and then we can go over what actually happened during the government shutdown. I really wish I knew why. Like when you make chili, the first day it's
Ms.
good,
Cortez
but like
Masto,
the
aye.
next day when you reheat it and eat it, it is so delicious. And I think it's more filling as well, and I don't know why. Because I just ate this a little bit. I'm feeling full already. All right. Well, that's out of the way. Um, Fraudulent government nation was hijacked before the Civil War rose. Supposedly 40% raise was reportedly yesterday would have been the amount they could have received if they had taken their yearly increase since the 1990s. Do you sprinkle? Oh yeah, I grate fresh cheddar on top of it, and then hit it with a dollop of sour cream. So good. And then a little bit of flaked sea salt on top of that, maybe a little bit of pepper. You are golden. You are golden. I wonder what we got here. Somebody's typing in the Discord. Maybe I'll bring the Discord into this stream too, just cause. Just to do it. Exclusive members. All right. What's that? Are you hiding something that happened to Ukraine overnight? Not that I'm aware of, Cindy. Oh, yeah. And if you guys didn't notice, there's actually a level in the Discord of it's the super secret level for the exclusive members who've decided to give me more money than they need to. They get their own little chat. Hint, hint. Flink, flink. Wink, wink. Let's see here. No, we're good. I think we're good because that just won't fit inside the channel. Nice checks would probably be the first thing to go to get the axe. Let's see here. Oh, Nick's checks. I got you. When they set new rules,
Mr. Haggerty, Mr.
promise is
Haggerty,
that it is to keep us safe.
no.
I know. Alrighty. I know. It's all. Everything's a big lie. That's why nobody trusts this
Mr.
government anymore.
Peters, Mr. Peters, aye.
10 years ago, nobody cared about things like this on YouTube. It just didn't happen. It just didn't happen. Matter of fact, if anybody's watching who is not a subscriber, could you please subscribe real quick? If you don't like what I'm doing, you can always unsubscribe. I need to see if my tickler is actually working because I don't know if it is. Things have been acting very, very weird since I switched over to this new streaming software. Let's see here. What was I doing? Oh yeah, that's right. I was going to read some stuff to you. Where is it at? Okay. So, what in the event of a government shutdown? So there's something that they call pre-shutdown. So, basically a deadline approaches, Congress fails to pass funding bills or continuing resolutions by the end of the fiscal year, and then basically agencies prepare. The federal agencies follow contingency plans outlined, essential versus non-essential operations. Employee notifications go out. Agencies inform employees whether they are deemed essential to work without pay. Essential to work without pay. Isn't that some messed up government stuff? Or furloughed, placed on unpaid leave. Immediate shutdown actions. Non-essential operations halt. Activities and services not tied to public safety, health, or national security are suspended. Examples are the national parks, passport processing, and many federal offices. Employee furloughs begin. Non-essential federal employees stop working, receiving pay retroactively only if Congress approves it later. And then communications are restricted. Furloughed employees are prohibited from using work resources or performing job duties. Essential operations will continue. Critical services maintain operations like military, air traffic control, law enforcement, disaster response, and postal services continue functioning. Federal employees work without pay. Essential personnel continue to work but do not receive paychecks until the shutdown ends. Impacts expand over time, or the impacts will expand over time. Delayed payments. Federal benefit programs like Social Security and Medicare might experience processing delays if staffing is insufficient. Economic ripple effects. Government contractors, private businesses relying on federal spending, and affected employee experience financial strain. Backlogs start to develop. Work suspended during the shutdown builds up, increasing delays after the government reopens. And then obviously at the end of a shutdown, funding is approved, Congress passes appropriation bills, or a continuing resolution signed by the president. Employees return, furloughed employees resume duties, essential personnel receive back pay. And then obviously the restart of suspended operations. Programs and services resume, often with delays as backlogs are addressed. Interesting. Let's see if I can find I want to find lists.
Mr. Cruz, no.
Okay, so I'm looking at the list of agencies that are considered non-essential, and then it breaks them down a little bit. So you got the National Park Service. This would be the closure of national parks, monuments, and museum, suspension of visitor services, i.e., campgrounds, rangers, guide tours. So basically, NPS just goes, we're done. Department of State, non-urgent functions like routine passport and visa processing, and certain consular, conciliatory, uh, consular services overseas. Environmental Protection Agency, suspension of inspections and enforcement actions. Woo! Delays in reviewing environmental permits. Internal Revenue Service, closure of taxpayer assistance centers, suspension of audit and non-critical processing activities. That's a good thing. Department of Housing and Urban Development, also known as HUD, suspension of new house development grants, delays in processing loans for low-income housing programs. The Department of Education, non-urgent services. What's so urgent about this is some
Mr.
bull.
Warner, Mr.
Suspension
Warner,
of grant
aye.
processing and non-essential student aid functions. There's no essential student aid functions for the Department of Education. Just get rid of it. Smithsonian Institution and National Zoo Museum and National Zoo closed to the public. You mean they closed? What do you mean they closed to the public? Let's see. We've got NASA suspension of non-critical space research and public outreach. All right. Continued operation of critical mission like e.g. ISS. So yeah, NASA just keeps working. Library of Congress closure of research services and public facilities. Federal commissions or the FCC suspension of license processing and non-urgent regulatory activities. Securities and Exchange Commission halt to routine regulatory functions and processing new filings. The Federal Trade Commission suspension of non-urgent investigations and regulatory actions. So basically, I just gave you a list of all the stuff in the government that
Mr.
is not
McConnell.
essential.
Mr.
That is
McConnell,
not
no.
needed in the government. It's mind-blowing because when you go down this list, it's all the stuff that they self-identified as not essential. It's just add-on crap. Oh my goodness, these people make it so easy to get rid of them. Let's see here. Did they add the 12 biolabs back to this bill? Unknown. Let's see here. What is this? You can shut down and turn the revenue service. You can shut down ATF. Rose says, but if they catch you on camera trashing, they will tag you. I don't know what you're talking about, Rose. We're at here. I wonder if drone operations would get shut down. All right, later, Alan. Military gets paid. Is Social Security paid? Congress paid. It's hard to tell. Yeah, where are we at here? You could shut down and turn the revenue services. So you could shut down the ATF. All right, so it looks like we're up to date in the chat. What do we got here? Let me see. That is not what I wanted to see. That's what I wanted to see right there. That's the stuff I wanted to see right there. Okay, so unfortunately, a lot of this is kind of boring, but it's interesting to chat with you guys about this stuff. But yeah, I'm gonna put that in the Discord list of non-essential.
Mr. Carper, aye.
Where is that? I hope that transfers over well enough. There we go. Man, I just had like a hot
Mr.
flash.
Scott, Mr.
Menopause
Scott of South
hot
Carolina, no.
flash. Let's see here. 21, and then turn you back on. There we go. Shut down the Oval Office. It ain't being used. That's the truth. That's the absolute truth right there. Man, these long ass votes, it's like, how do they even get anything done? So crazy. Even like a hot flash. This is weird. It's almost feverish. But I'm sure it's just because I ate that chili. If you enter public parks during closure and you trash the area, if caught on camera, they identified that you could be fined. Oh, I see. Yeah, that's true. I mean, yeah, that's true. I mean, but don't trash parks. If you voted for Trump, these, if you voted for Trump 3 times, I had the cameras pointed me at all the times by the Democrat Party. They can stick it in the pipe hole. Cool Colt is back. He's back. Oh my God. You know what I need to do? I need to start a poll. We need to start a poll. Just a simple one. Let me go. Where is that? Start a poll. Start a poll and start a poll. Let's see. And we'll do other polls too. So um, why isn't this thing live? There we go.
Mr. Kramer, no.
It shows why they can never meet deadlines. This is top chat. Why is this saying top chat? Live chat. Let's see here. You forgot. I hope so on your poll. No, I didn't. That's a different poll, man. I got to come up with some better stuff to put in the next poll. This is just a poll. This is the preemptive poll for the poll. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy, man. The stuff that they're doing is just insane. In a two-party system, has to be it's all equal numbers, and press and VP must be opposite parties. Then the only things that pass would actually benefit us and not party lines. I agree that I agree with that to an extent. It's kind of sophomorish, but it does work in a simplified system. But the system that we work in is so dynamic and complicated, and it's more than just when you have a group of people, regardless of their party, you have a group of people who are genuinely trying to do something good for their constituents, okay? And you have another sect of the party of parties together, this other group, that are genuinely trying to do things that are going to benefit themselves, okay? Then you're always going to have a clash. You're always going to have a clash, which is why we always have a problem between the left and the right. The left does everything emotionally. Everything should be fair. That there's been this consensus among the left that we didn't come from cavemen who carried clubs and bashed people's brains in. Okay, that we're somehow we've moved forward. We have progressed, into the people that we are now, these weak individuals that surround us. You know, um, it's getting easier and easier to pick out the wolves from the sheep in society. I think, I mean, do me a favor if you do me a favor, put a one in the chat if you agree with what I'm about to say. Have you been out in town lately in the last week, 2 weeks, a month? And it's very easy for you to pick out who you don't want to mess with and who you could roll if you really wanted to. If they were like an old lady
Mrs.
or I mean,
Gillibrand.
just
Mrs.
you knew
Gillibrand,
by looking at
aye.
them that they were soft people. If you've experienced that in the last 30 days, put a one in the chat. I see it every time I go into town. Every time I go into town. I can see who is the predator, and I can see all of the prey, and it's saddening. Oh, I just realized I can do this. Oh my god! Oh my god! This is a game changer. This is what happens when you pay attention. Oh, I wonder what it looks like on the screen when it finally gets to you guys. I wonder if it changed. Oh, there it is. There it is. That is mind blowing. That's why it needs to be overhauled. Yeah, yeah. If they don't shut down, we'll say they did it to protect and have good Christmas. That's a variable. Every one of these representatives swore an oath, um, but how many of them took it seriously? There's a question. How many of them took it seriously? So, it's difficult to ascertain that. It's difficult to figure out what that is. It is what it is. And see, now I'm seeing it come through it used to be you just had to watch out for the quietest guy in the room. Now you can literally see who these sheep are and who the wolves are, predator and prey, because this is how they've separated us, you know. And it's because we had to revert back to the way we used to do things. That's what this all comes down to, guys. We didn't just dream this stuff up. This is part of our DNA. Male or female does not matter. You can tell a tough broad from 1,000 yards away. So it doesn't. And it's surprising. They don't understand that they've done this to themselves. I told the girlfriend the other day, I need to start open carrying again, because there's some stupid stuff out there, and I just don't want to be involved in.
Mr.
I'd rather
Thune, Mr.
just want. I
Thune,
just would
no.
rather project power than be sitting back to some guy who just mistakes me as some simp or something. Uh, let's see here. Sometimes you want to look like prey and sometimes predator. Actually, no. I prefer to look like the predator. Make them stay through holiday until past. Well, yes, they technically they have to. If the government shuts down, the House will hold Congress until, because if not, then he's in a lot of trouble. Um, and also, there's something about the timing um, of the there's a vote coming up for who's going to continue or who's going to be the Speaker of the House. And so there's a
Yeas are
timing.
49, the nays are 47. The motion is agreed to.
Mr. President.
So I'm not sure what they
The
just
senior
agreed.
senator from Maryland is
That's-
recognized.
that's
Mr.
the
President,
senator.
in a moment, I'm going to be making a unanimous consent request. I'm waiting for Senator Grassley to be on the floor. But let me just, if I might, explain what the unanimous consent will be. It deals with H.R. 766. I'm a proud sponsor of the Preventive Health Savings Act since the 113th Congress. As it stands, the Congressional
Roosevelt,
Budget
big
Office
stick. Yeah,
scores
exactly.
budgetary implications of preventive health legislation in a 10-year time frame, limiting Congress's ability to understand the long-term impacts of meaningful prevention policies. This bicameral, bipartisan legislation would direct CBO to more accurately reflect the long-term cost savings potential of preventive health care
Let's see if I can
initiatives
turn that down a
and
little bit.
encourage the use of
Actually, I
data-informed
haven't
preventive health
muted it. I need to
measures.
interact with it.
On March 19th of this
Oh,
year,
that's the wrong
the House of Representatives passed this
So many
legislation
things.
by voice vote. Now, here's the challenge we have. This legislation will allow us to implement preventive health care sooner.
It won't let me.
That will save lives and will save
do
dollars.
PC sound. Let's do that.
Test that could be implemented for certain targeted populations. The longer that's delayed and being reimbursable under our healthcare system, the more people are not going to have the advantage of that.
Yeah, that's going to be. How's the sound on that? I mean, it's loud on my side, to be honest with you. But there's some technology that could be muting stuff out as well. It should be just low and in the background.
Because this is a House passed bill to send this bill to the president, and that's why I will be making unanimous consent requests in regards to the bill. I know that Senator Grassley has other legislation that he's been trying to get attached. I will urge him not to do that because it will obviously mean this bill will not pass. His issue is not related to the issue that
President Biden meets with the Tennessee Three. I don't know who the Tennessee Three is.
for their help on the budget committee itself. But this is our last opportunity to do something meaningful to implement preventive health care that will save lives and actually save dollars.
Gotcha. Good.
Taxpayers of this
Good.
country. There's no question.
And we should be over here. There we go.
We can get it done now. Any amendment on it obviously would have to go back to the House, and there's no possibility that the House would agree to it. So, Mr. President, as if in legislative session, I ask unanimous consent that the Senate proceed to the immediate consideration of H.R. 766, which was received from the House and is at the desk. Further, that the bill be considered read a third time and passed, and that the motion to reconsider be considered made and laid upon the table.
Is there objection?
Mr. President,
Senator from Iowa is recognized.
reserving the right to object, and I have a counter offer. But before I get to that, I want to say, first of all, it's not easy for me to stand here and object to something the senator from Maryland wants to bring up, because he's a gentleman in the 100% way in the United States Senate. So it's not easy to go against his ideas. But I want you to know, I've been working on this with Representative Burgess, the leader in the House of Representatives, and we offered 4 amendments to him in negotiations. He agreed to 2 of them, and 2 of them he didn't agree to, and we agreed not to push for that amendment. So we felt that we had good discussions with Representative Burgess, but now we're working on the House bill here, and none of those things that Burgess agreed to could be. So it's where we are is that
We had a deal.
even though Burgess
Sound familiar? Sound like what they were talking about last night? But this is on our side
some
now,
compromise,
I think. I can't tell.
senators over here have issues with preventing Congress from depositing savings into the Medicare Improvement Fund in budget year 11 through 30, based upon CBO estimates of preventive health savings legislation. Now, I have no doubt that preventive medicine saves money, but putting money in a fund for 11 to 30 years out can only lead to what we know happens too often here in the United States
Got your
Senate
freedom nugget.
of,
Yeah, I'm trying to balance it.
of budget gimmicks.
Actually,
saying that
so
we're
actually
going to use
monitoring it
funds in a
all
certain
using that kind of stuff
fund.
right there.
Well, that's
It's
perfectly
interesting
legitimate thing to do.
using the
But
power,
you have
but
to have
it is what it is.
confidence that that what CBO says about that is going to be legitimate and have credibility. And so what I've been trying to work out with Representative Burgess is just exactly to do that. Yeah, put this fund out there, as you say, it's going to save money, but I want to make sure that CBO, when they say something, we have a way of verifying that. So I want to say that I appreciate the intentions of this bill, increasing preventive health care to improve health outcomes and help patients and taxpayers avoid costly treatment and services down the road is a laudable goal. However, I'm concerned that as currently constructed, this bill will lead to budget gimmicks that will ultimately increase rather than decrease health spending. The sponsors are well aware of my concerns. I worked in good faith to offer up ideas to address my budget gimmicks concerns. I made it clear I'm willing to compromise. I've already done so with my most recent offer and dropped common sense budget process reform provisions that I thought were important, and these budget process reforms were what was in the famous Enzi White House bill that Senator Enzi and now, former Senator Enzi and now Senator Whitehouse worked out in budget committee reform. And I've said that Burgess was willing to go along with my changes to establish common sense guardrails and to prevent budget gimmicks. But these changes have been rejected in the Senate, and my concerns have been addressed. The bill before us contains no common sense guardrails, such as requiring a disclaimer that a supplementary estimate doesn't replace a CBO 10-year cost estimate, ensuring supplementary estimates are separate and distinct from the 10-year cost estimates, and requiring the Congressional Budget Office to be transparent in their modeling. That latter point is based on the proposition that we expect CBO to show us how they arrived at figures dealing with cost savings of some particular preventive medicine program. The bill also doesn't address concerns about how supplementary analysis could be used for budget gimmicks in the future, such as depositing uncertain out-year savings into the Medicare and Medicaid Improvement Fund. The bill needs common sense guardrails to prevent budget gimmicks. So I would like to suggest this alternative. So I asked the senator from Maryland to modify his request to include my amendment, which is at the desk, that the amendment be considered and agreed to. The bill is
Yeager says, I
amended, be
disagree with
considered,
the
read a
premise of the
third
poll. The
time,
government never
and
shuts
passed, and
down,
that
even
motion
when
to
the polls
reconsider
can't agree on how
be
much
made
of our
laid
money to
upon the
waste.
table.
I haven't even checked the poll since I
Is
put
there
it up.
objection to the modification?
Let's take a look
Mr.
at it.
President, reserving the right to object. If I might, and again, I appreciate Senator Grassley's comments.
What do we got here?
about
Let's
this
see.
senator. I feel the
Yeah,
same
well,
about
Guppy,
Senator
this was my
Grassley.
generic
He's been
poll. I have
an
another one that
incredible
I'm
voice
working on right
in the
now.
United States Senate,
So, will the government shut down?
particularly on
70% of the
transparency,
people
particularly
believe
against waste,
yes, it will.
and
Will the
has
government
taken
shut
on
down?
some of the most
70%. So let's go ahead and end that
challenging
poll.
battles
Then
here
we're going
before the
to
United States
we're going
Senate.
to let's try
Mike,
this.
I've worked on this
Start a
legislation now
poll.
for several Congresses. My partners are Senator Crapo, Senator Kramer, Senator King. We've all worked on this bill together. And the bill is very simple. It just allows a more realistic budget window for preventive health care. And it's something that we've been talking about for a long time so that we don't get trapped with high upfront costs that have large savings and we never get to the savings because CBO cannot score it under the current budget rules. The challenges that Senator
There we
Grassley
go.
is raising are not in this bill.
There's the new poll
We've worked
right
very
there.
closely with
Inquiring minds
the
want to
budget
know.
people to make sure that this bill does not contain the concerns that Senator
That should be
Grassley is raising.
interesting.
The senator might be raising very
Last
legitimate
minute deal at
concerns,
midnight.
but it's not this legislation
President
that's
Biden
causing
canceled
it.
student loan debt
This
for
legislation only
55,000
allows
workers.
us to be able to
I believe
implement in a more realistic way preventive health care services.
There's a poll I can get
with
behind.
legitimate cost estimates and offsets so that we can get the savings from preventive health care and implement preventive health care sooner, saving lives and dollars. We can make progress on this issue now. The problem is
It's amazing.
twofold
6 votes,
with the request that's being
100%.
made.
That's
First,
amazing.
It's not the potential abuse is not in this legislation. It deals with a broader issue. And then secondly, if this bill is amended, I think Senator Grassley also understands the chances of passage
Administration will
are
announce
zero.
on Friday
There's
another
no
$4.2
possibility
billion
that this bill
in
can be
student
taken
loan
up
relief
in the House
for
at this
nearly
late stage.
55,000
So
service
this is our
workers.
last opportunity.
That'll be interesting.
Came to
You know,
before
whether
today
that
and
happens or
before
not, I
because
don't know.
respect greatly Senator
There's
Grassley
always a
and his
deal at
concerns, and I was
11:30.
hoping
I
we
know,
could find
right?
a path forward for that to
Well, if you think I'm
happen.
going to sit
But
here
there
that
is no
long,
path
you're
forward for that to
crazy.
happen. And
You're crazy.
by
And it's funny, they
including
always do
the
this in the
request, I
middle
will
of
be
the night, man.
sacrificing
They always do it in the
both
middle of the
bills.
night. They
And I would
can't do
hope the
it during the
senator would
daytime where
recognize that
people
and
are like,
allow
oh,
this
I can watch.
modest improvement for preventive health care to go forward. And with that, Mr. President, I regretfully object.
Mr. President,
Objection to the modification is heard.
Mr. President.
Is there objection to the original request?
Yeah, I object. I'd like to,
Objection.
around here, we use the word budget, the words budget gimmickry pretty freely. And I want to say, as an example, that every senator
It's a done
in
deal.
this
That was an
Senate
hour
knows
ago.
the
Yeah, I got
term
you.
Medicare sequester as a budget gimmick. So something beyond the 10-year window we're going to draw in.
See, I just don't understand why
spend
they're still
money
trying to do this.
today.
You know, it's like they
That's
think
one
that
example
they're
of a
going to,
budget
by
gimmick.
doing
I
this,
just
they're
want
actually
to
going to
make
like
sure that
secure,
we don't
you know, the young
widen
people
that
vote. But
down
so
the
many young
road.
people see through this crap.
Thank you. I yield the floor.
It will take shutdown for Dems to realize what needs done. They don't want to be, they don't want you to be observant. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Always sneaky. Yeah, that's the truth. I don't know, man. It's just so mind blowing. You know, why can't they have meetings all night long and then vote in the morning and then like sleep during the day like normal human beings, right? I don't know. Sometimes I just don't know about these people. All right, I'm going to go ahead and step away from the mic for a second. It looks like things are kind of quiet, but you know what? Let me see if I can find something here. I was actually reading this while you guys were there. You should have been able to see it. House Republicans reach a new plan to avoid government shutdown after back-to-back defeats. This is the third plan to avert a shutdown presented this week, and it doesn't really give a lot of details, but yeah. Um, I seriously doubt it's going to let me
The
do that,
clerk
but I'll
will
try.
call the roll.
Ms. Baldwin.
Clerk will call the roll. For what? No, I'm not doing that. Go away. That's not what I want. Bloodsucker, stay up all night. I love it, man. I love it. All right, let's go to we already did this. Home. Let's go home. Take me home. That's what we got going on the other channel right now. What is this? Really? Okay, so this will be interesting. I wonder what time they're scheduled to do this. And that is on mute, so we'll unmute that as well. You know, they time all this stuff. President's schedule. All right. President receives the presidential daily break. Press briefing 12:15. Late as usual. Late as usual. Um, there we go. I'm not going to let that just sit there like that's crazy. That's just crazy, man. Let's see here. Grumpy says, need to send Daniel Penny to Congress to work his magic. Oh, that would. You get a blood choke, and you get a blood choke, and all of you get blood chokes. Let's see. What can we do but wait and see right now? It's true. That's all we can do. I mean, we're kind of. I was hoping by now. You know, they advertised 10 a.m. It's like they had a plan. So it as usual, we're just sitting around on pins and needles trying to figure out what the hell our government is doing. And yeah, yeah. I don't know what this lying, shrill is going to come out and say here, but obviously it's the daily press briefing, but it's not. Oh, 2 minutes. Press briefing in 2 minutes. All right, I'll be right back, guys. 2 minutes.
President.
Senator from Michigan is recognized.
President, I move the quorum call be vitiated.
Without objection.
Mr. President, I move as if in legislative session and notwithstanding Rule 22, I ask unanimous consent that the Senate proceed to the immediate consideration of S. 5639, which was introduced earlier today.
The clerk will report.
S. 5639, a bill to extend the authority for the protection of certain facilities and assets from unmanned aircraft.
Without objection, the Senate will proceed.
I ask unanimous consent that the bill be considered read 3 times and passed, and that the motion to reconsider be considered made and laid upon the table.
Without objection.
Mr. President.
Senator from Michigan is recognized.
Mr. President, as we near the deadline to fund the government tonight without a clear path from my Republican colleagues in the House, it appears that we're once again on the brink of a government shutdown. And when the clock runs out at midnight, the current authorities that the Department of Homeland Security and the FBI have to safely disable drones that pose a security threat will also expire. And we simply cannot let that happen. I just received a unanimous consent to pass a bill that will extend the current authorities for 1 year. I appreciate my Senate colleagues for joining me in passing this legislation so that our federal law enforcement agencies can continue to protect against dangerous drones while giving us additional time to work on bipartisan legislation that Senator Johnson and I have authored to strengthen counter-drone efforts. There are now more than 1 million drones currently registered in the United States, and the overwhelming majority of them are used for hobby, commercial, or law enforcement purposes, and in a responsible and legal way. But we've also seen many instances where drones can pose a serious threat to the safety of the public, our critical infrastructure, our airports, and our communities. From the reports of drone sightings in New Jersey that have led to airport runway closures and caused alarm in multiple cities to drone incursions at NFL games that put fans and team safety at risk, we need to be able to take the appropriate actions to identify, to track, and safely disable drones that could be a threat. Earlier this week, I called on the Senate to pass strong bipartisan legislation that would not only extend the current authorities we have in place to take down threatening drones, but it would also help address the current concerns we're seeing from communities all across our country by helping to provide state and local law enforcement with the authority to use technology to identify and disarm risky drones so that they can protect our own communities. Unfortunately, that legislation was blocked from passing. And that's why it's so important that we just passed this 1-year extension so that the FBI and the DHS will be able to disable any drones that possess a danger to public service. So I want to thank my colleagues for joining me in passing this 1-year extension so that we can ensure we'll be able to protect our communities from any immediate drone threats. And I hope my colleagues from both sides of the aisles will continue to work with me in the months ahead, along with Senator Johnson, on a larger piece of legislation that will allow us to more effectively address the risk posed by increasing numbers of drones in our country.
Switching gears just for a second here. Today, President Biden announced student debt cancellation for another 55,000 public service workers, bringing the total number of individuals who have been approved for student debt relief under his administration to nearly 5 million people. The people approved for debts cancellation today include teachers, nurses, service members, law enforcement officials, and other public service workers who have dedicated their lives to giving back to their communities and who are finally earning the relief they are entitled to under the law. Under the Biden-Harris administration, more than 1 million public service workers have received student debt relief, more than all other more than all other administrations combined since the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program was first established by Congress in 2007. And finally, yesterday, U.S. Customs and Border Protection published their November 2024 data, which shows that since President Biden's announced new executive actions to secure the border on June 4th, unlawful border crossing have dropped by more than 60%. That's the lowest levels in 4.5 years. The Biden-Harris administration has implemented an effective and balanced approach to secure our border and make our immigration system more fair and just. With that, Colleen, what you got?
She doesn't believe a word that she just said.
So I wondered if the president has spoken to any lawmakers personally about the potential for a shutdown.
So let me first say this, and I know you've seen our statements coming from here this week about this particular issue, and we'll just continue to reiterate that Republicans blew up this deal. They did, and they need to fix this, period. They have to. Republican needs to stop playing politics with a
If
government
you think
shutdown,
she's an arrogant blowhard,
and
put a
they
1 in the chat
are
for me.
doing the bidding. They're doing the bidding of their billionaire friends. That's what we're seeing, at the expense of hardworking Americans. And just to quote you something that we saw today, and I'm sure you all saw from the Punch Bowl News, which is, and I quote, "This has been an absolute disastrous week for the Speaker, the President-elect Donald Trump, and Republicans on Capitol Hill. This is a mess that they created, and they need to fix this." On your question, the President, I can confirm just moments ago, the President was able to connect with Leader Schumer and Leader Jeffries, and also just to add that the President does indeed get regular updates. He has been getting regular updates from his team. His team has been in touch with members, congressional members from both sides of the aisle, and certainly he will continue to stay updated.
Has there been any communication between the president
Exactly,
and the
Droney,
administration
exactly.
and the incoming administration on this?
I think we have to be really clear here, and that is, this is a mess that Speaker Johnson created. It is his mess to fix. There was a deal on the table. They were a bipartisan deal. A bipartisan deal. In this day and age, they were able to come up with a bipartisan deal. And, you know, that agreement, the Speaker Johnson needs to stick to. He needs to hold his commitment to that agreement. And so they have to fix this. This is their mess that they created, and they need to fix it. And let's not forget, we're not just when we talk about keeping the government open, we're talking about providing funds for disaster recovery efforts, lower costs of prescription drugs. That's what we're talking about. And the impact of this would hurt our veterans and would hurt vulnerable Americans across the country. That's what we're talking
you think she's going to
about.
say it?
And Republicans need to do
The elderly
their
will
job.
die.
They need to
I can't wait.
uphold
Do you
their
think she'll
side
say it?
of
The elderly will die.
Gets-
Thanks, Kareem. Why hasn't President Biden said anything in the public about this? Don't the American people deserve to know why millions of federal workers could enter this holiday period without a paycheck?
Well, Americans need to know that Republicans are getting in the way here, and they are the ones who have created this mess. That's the reality. That's the
Dodge
fact.
the question again.
And the
Dodge the
president-
question.
And let me just take a step back. This is not the first time we've been here, and the president has had this approach before. He understands how Congress works. He's been around for some time. He understands what strategy works here to get this done. So this is not the first time that I'm being asked this question about the president and his outreach. I just mentioned he made 2 calls. He was in touch with the leader, the Democratic leaders on both the House and the Senate, Schumer and Jeffries. And his team is continuing to have that conversation. But this is the mess that was created by Speaker Johnson. He needs to fix this. That's what the American people need to be very clear about. Very clear. There was a bipartisan agreement, and he's not holding up his side of the bargain here.
We hear that message from you, but why aren't we hearing that directly from the president? Why haven't we seen or heard from President Biden himself?
This is a strategy that we have done many times before, not the first time. And this is for Republicans in Congress, in the House specifically, to fix. They created this mess. There was a bipartisan agreement. There was.
I predict within a month of her leaving her position here in the White House that somebody finds her and just, I don't know.
What we want to do,
I don't even want to say. I don't even want to say. I don't want to promote anything. All I'm saying is that bad stuff comes to bad people, and she's not a good person.
Through. That's
I
what he
do
wants
find
to
it
see.
ironic, though, and I'm going to be a little judgmental here for a second.
This is something
She's
that
had a long,
Republicans should
long-term
own here.
girlfriend,
What they tried to jam
and
at the
even
11th
that
hour
woman doesn't want to put a
doesn't
ring on her
reflect.
finger.
And what that bipartisan deal that they came up with, obviously with Democrats, and, Republicans are showing a disregard for the American public.
Just lastly, some leading Democrats
QVC.
are calling Elon Musk President Musk or Co-President Musk. What is the White House's and President Biden's reaction to this labeling of Elon Musk, and whether or not House Republicans are listening more to this billionaire than the president-elect?
What I can say is congressional Republicans.
And if you guys can hear the cracking in the mic there, it's like really bad sound. Sorry, that's not me. That's actually coming from the White House's sound
trying
system.
to pave the way. What they're doing is trying to pave the way for $5 trillion to our national debt. That's what this decision does. You're talking about with cuts for billionaires, slashing Social Security, slashing Medicare, slashing Head Start. Congressional Republicans did what they did because of what the president-elect said and what Elon Musk said. That's the reality. You guys all reported this. That's why we are where we are today. So this is for Speaker Johnson to fix. This is the mess that he created. He needs to fix this. Again, a bipartisan agreement. There is a bipartisan agreement.
Ms. Green, would the president support a four-bill strategy that we've seen discussed today, which would separate clean CR from a farm bill extension, disaster aid, and debt limit?
I'm not going to get into hypotheticals. What I can say is there is I'm going to get very repetitive here because it is true and it needs to be said. There is a bipartisan agreement. There's a deal that was agreed upon, and that's what they need to move forward with. And when I mean they, I mean the Republicans in Congress. They need to move forward with that deal. That's what they said, with the deal that was agreed upon. That's what they said they would move forward with. The Speaker said that, and he's not holding up his side of the bargain. He's not. His side of the deal, he is not holding up.
And in response to President-elect Trump's statements this morning that this is a Biden problem, but if Republicans can help solve it, they will. I imagine he's be able to repeat some of what you just said, but in response to that.
Congressional Republicans made their decision because of what the president-elect said at their direction, the direction of the president-elect, and the right direction of Elon Musk. There was a bipartisan deal on the table. They were moving forward. The Speaker agreed to do this, to move forward the bipartisan deal, and they stopped that because of what the president-elect said and what Elon Musk said. They wanted to clear a way for their billionaire friends, a tax cut, $5 trillion to the national debt, with tax cuts to billionaires, for billionaires. So that's the reality. You've all reported this. We've seen this. We saw what was being stated, what was being put out there by the president-elect and Elon Musk. There's no hiding from that. That's the reality. And so
Senator from Texas is recognized.
we're talking about, this is not
We are not.
politics here. We're talking about the American people who need
Well, Mr. President, it's hardly
these
breaking
programs,
news
who need it.
that this is December
so-
the 20th,
Political Playbook said
5
had
days
to say
before
what they had to say about
Christmas,
this. Trump picked
a
the
day
fight.
celebrated by
He
2
picked the fight,
billion
and it
people
was Trump.
throughout the world.
Well, with him and Elon Musk.
It's
who
also
sank
the last day of the
bipartisan deal.
118th
That's what you
Congress.
all are reporting.
And there's no
can't-
better
you can't,
time than the
twist the
president
facts or
takes
change
stock of what
history.
we've done
So based
or
on
not
the White
done
House's assessment of where things stand right
this
now on
last
Capitol
year.
Hill, should Americans be prepared?
Students
for the
around the
government
country have
shutdown?
wrapped up their
There's still
semester
time.
and
We believe
they've
there's
come
still
home
time
with
for
a
that to
report
not
card to
happen.
show their
For
parents
Republicans to
the
do
grades they've
the right
earned in
thing,
things like math,
to
science,
hold up
English.
their part of the deal
and other
and
subjects.
move forward with the bipartisan.
Of course, report
agreement.
cards are a
There's still
helpful
time,
metric
and our focus is keeping the government
of
open. That's
advancement
what we
or
wanna
not,
see.
as the
And
case
we
may
hope
be.
Republicans want to
It's
do that.
also a
Republicans
means
in
to
Congress
hold
want to do that as
people
well.
accountable.
And there's still time.
And
where they
talk
are
a little bit
excelling,
here about how the
where they
president really
need
has not been a player
to
at all
improve.
in these negotiations. I know you said he's
Here in
not
the
been
Senate, I
sharing
think it's
referees
important.
today, but what exactly is the strategy behind that? Is there a sense that perhaps having him involved at this moment would do more harm than good?
I kind of took this question, I got some formulation of that question moments ago. The president knows how to deal with Congress. He's been around for some time, as you all know. And this is not the first time that we've had this strategy where we have said it is Congress's, one of their number one jobs is to keep the government open. In this particular instance, you saw what Republicans did with Speaker Johnson obviously leading us to this mess, to where we are right now. And they need to fix it, period. It is their mess to fix. It is. There was a deal, a bipartisan deal. There was, just days ago. And they created this mess. Speaker Johnson needs to fix this. Republicans in Congress needs to fix this. It is their mess to fix. And they allowed this bipartisan deal to be scuttled by the president-elect.
And if the government shuts down for an extended period of time, would President Biden commit to remaining here in Washington and not going through with his holiday
I
plans?
don't have anything, I can't get into hypotheticals. I don't have anything to share on this.
No one even
We're
said
the
anything.
leaders.
I'm
I just
talking my
said
ass
moments
off over
ago,
here.
There's still time to get to a deal here.
Deal
or
no one
move
can
forward.
read.
I should
Yes,
say
I
get to
was,
move
Catitude. I
forward
was
with
talking.
a bipartisan
So what I
agreement.
was saying was, that
They
she's
can
like
avoid
the
a shutdown. They
the
can. They were
if
on
you
their
were to
way
mentally
to
think
doing
about what the
that,
nanny of the nanny
and
state looked
it was
like, her
scuttled
body
by
language,
the
the way she
president-elect
speaks to people,
and Elon Musk.
yeah.
This is why we're here. That's
I
why
can't
we're
wait
here
till she leaves. I really can't. She thinks she's telling people the way things they are, and she's just, don't talk back to me. That's what she's doing.
Spoken to the House Speaker, or does he have any plans to?
I've answered this in so many ways, and I'm going to answer it now.
Hello
We
again.
got to be really clear. Speaker Johnson created this mess, and he needs to fix it.
It's all about who made this mess and whose fault is it. We had a deal. This is all emotional trash.
He said he was going to move
That's all
forward
this
with
is.
it.
It's just a bunch of
They
emotional
stopped
trash.
it because of the direction
Move
that they were
this
given by the
over here
president-elect and
so
Elon
that
Musk.
we can not have
And
to
right
look
now,
at her
we need
face
to
so
focus,
much.
and we need to
I kind of
continue
like
to
it covering
focus
up
on
the
the American people.
CNBC logo.
We're
I
talking
just happen to be
about
getting it
shutting
from there.
down the government that will impact veterans programs,
You know what I can
services
do,
that
though,
Americans
so I don't have to
truly
worry
need.
about this
They
junk
know
here.
how to
Let me
fix
find
this.
here.
Republicans actually know how to fix this. That's why they were able to get a bipartisan agreement on the table. They know in order to move forward with this, you need a bipartisan agreement. And there was one, and they did not move forward with it because of what they were told by President-elect Trump and also Elon Musk. Okay.
I'll go at the question another way. In this moment, is the president leading?
The president is the president of the United States, and he is leading. And to be very clear, as it relates to this, I've said this many times before, moments ago.
Can't
I'll
hear
say
her.
it again. We have done this strategy
Can't hear her
before.
on this one.
This is not new. Where we have said Congress needs to deal with this.
We'll just keep doing it this way.
Their number one job is to keep the government open, and there wasn't.
It's not their number one job. Their number one job is never to keep the government open. These freaking retards.
Speaker Johnson created.
Excuse
this
my
mess. He
French,
needs to fix it.
Jesus.
Period.
To be clear, the strategy is he is leading by staying in the background.
The strategy is the Congress, Republicans in particular, need to do their jobs and get out of their own way and focus on the American people, not their billionaire friends. That is what needs to happen, and that's what the president wants to see.
Does the president believe that the U.S.
Such a
debt
mental
ceiling should be
disorder.
eliminated?
Is the mic on?
You all know where
It's
the
such a
president stands
mental
on this.
disorder
His
these
focus
people
right
have. I
now
just
is
don't
keeping
understand
the
it.
government open. That's what he's going to focus on.
The vice president canceled her trip to California. Can you say why?
You would have to speak to her office. I can't speak to that.
And then finally on Syria, really quickly, the DOD said yesterday that there are about 2,000 U.S. troops in Syria. That's double what the
Does anybody notice there's not been a single question about drones yet?
So I would have to refer you to the Department of Defense to speak to troop numbers. That is their purview. That is something that we have always been pretty consistent on, that they have to speak to. I know that they said yesterday that the additional forces are considered temporary, that they are deployed to meet shifting mission requirements, but I have to leave it to the Department of Defense, to the Pentagon, to speak to troops.
Last question, Colleen, and I know you have...
Yeah, JKR, I think you're about 99% right.
Americans hear from the President of the United States just hours from a shutdown.
What Americans need
Oh
to
yeah,
know
Droney.
is that
It's
you
out of
have
control.
Republicans in Congress, in the House, who got in a way, who stopped a bipartisan agreement. They
See,
got
she's
in
like
the
tapping
way.
the
They
table.
created
You
this mess.
just don't know what you're talking
And I said
about,
this
stupid
earlier
people.
when I said,
That's what
and you
she's
all know
doing.
this, or you report this, it is not easy to get to a bipartisan agreement here in this town. And there was one. Both sides sat down, they came to an agreement, which is a good thing for the American people. We thought we were moving in that direction, and they decided to, Republicans decided to
That's a great
instead
question,
listen
Rose.
and give
What about Biden's
give
friends?
space
I
to their
heard both
billionaire friends,
Biden and Harris
not put
concealed,
the American people
canceled
first.
I guess that's
That's
trips
what
to
is
stay in
happening.
Washington. Yeah,
That's what we're
supposedly.
seeing. Go ahead, Michael.
Just wondering if you could give us an update on Nippon Steel's pending purchase of U.S. Steel. Excuse me.
Okay, now once again, no drone question. Yeah, well, you know, the perception is they have to, the perception that the American people have of this administration is that we can't wait till they're gone. And so what they're doing is they're making every effort to make sure it looks like they're there until the very end, because that was their job. That's what you brought them there for, to represent you till the very end. That's what they're trying to do. It's all kabuki theater.
I don't, CFIUS, that's a CFIUS review. They are
bought
independent.
votes, not a
We leave it to
bipartisan
them,
agreement.
to make that decision on the timing. I just don't have anything to share on this.
They mad people got to read it. Oh yeah, they gave them 3 days to do it. The law says there's a law that says that they have 3 days to read it. They can't pass it or even put it up for a vote until it's printed, delivered, and 3 days are given to read it.
You wanted to make this trip. It's pretty late in a
Let's see. Harris is still butthurt, but she's trying to still act like she's doing something. Yeah, no, she's just.
Look, the president is looking forward
She is
to,
butthurt.
going back
I saw a
Italy,
video
as
the
you
other
all
day where
know.
she
He's
didn't
been there
appear
a
to be
couple of
drunk,
times
which
in
was
his,
very different.
in his first term.
And
in his
she's
term,
like,
and so
just
he's
basically
gonna-
never
and
give
he's
up
met,
the fight.
Obviously, a couple
Like,
times
you
in
lost.
this administration
Just
alone.
take a
with
rest.
His Holiness Pope
No,
Francis.
never.
and
I'm never going to
obviously
give up the
he looks
fight.
forward to that.
It's
As you know,
mentally
he
ill.
He is a proud Catholic. And so
They
that
probably
is
think
something
they
that he
deserve
is looking forward to
overtime.
that. And having a conversation
The
about
illusion
peace
would
around
be
the world. We
broken.
know that is an issue that.
Hey, what's up, Scans
His
Girl?
Holiness
For Pete's
cares
sake,
about.
stop
I don't
whining
have
about the American
specifics
people.
or
Was made
behind the
aware of the
scenes private
bipartisan agreement and
conversations
put
on
a
how
stop to the BS.
this
Exactly.
landed and the timing of this.
It's an
What we can share is
oligarchy
that it's
or
happening. The president looks forward to it. And we certainly will have
anarchy?
more to share as we get closer, like we normally do when an economist trip.
We have
Should
now.
we expect domestic travel for the
Anocracy?
president in January? Is he going to be
Sounds
out
like
there
a
doing
croissant,
any
an
farewell
anocracy. Please
speeches
pass
on
the
policy issues
anocracies.
in other parts of the country?
So I would say stay tuned. We'll certainly have
where we
more
at
to share
here?
about what January will look like for the president. Don't have anything to
Damn,
specifically
that was a big
to
jump.
announce right now.
Just gonna try to ask this a different way.
The number one job of the federal government is diplomacy with other governments that if you can't do that right. Well, the number one job is to defend the nation. That's the number one. That's the number one purpose of the U.S. government is to defend the nation. They constantly forget that. But yeah, I think diplomacies with other nations is very important too, specifically when you can't do it like you just said, Nico.
We would not
These
be
people,
in this position
they
if
have
Republicans in the
failed
House did
at
not break their word.
everything that they've done,
That's where we are.
and
we're talking about
they refuse to admit it,
what
and
the
in
agreement-
fact,
when you look about, when you
try
think
to
about what
make
the
you
agreement would
believe
do,
that
it
they've
would
done a
lower
good job.
Prescription drugs cost and make it harder to offshore jobs to China. We're talking about veterans who need these services. And
this woman makes me sick because she couldn't give two shits about
put forth
veterans.
a bill that would pave the way for tax break for billionaires. That's what they did. Instead of going with a bipartisan agreement, they put forth something that would pave the way for their billionaire friends. That's not about the American people. That is just not about the American people. And we have been here before when we're trying to make sure that there's not a government shutdown. The president has had
I can't wait till they get to Peter Doocy. I mean, if she's got the sack to call on Peter Doocy, it'd be interesting.
And so in this instance,
Because he will ask the stupid questions.
Republicans blew this deal up. They did. They blew it up, and they need to fix it. This is not for the president to fix. This is not for us to fix. This is for Republicans in Congress.
Sad part is so many
to fix
liberals
this-
believe her crap.
the mess that
Absolutely
they
true.
created.
But has he expressed any
The people
thoughts
control
or
the state,
feelings
interstate
on the
controls the
president-elect
government. The people
Elon
control
Musk?
both state and intergovernment people and the government.
You're
We don't
hearing
need
what
these
I'm
people
saying,
in Washington,
right?
D.C.
I speak for the President of the United States.
We need a government. We have to have a
when I
federal
speak for the President
government.
of the United States, I am speaking directly for him. So you are hearing where he feels about this, what his thoughts are about this, and we believe, and the American people should know this, that Republicans need to fix the mess that they caused. The Speaker knows how to get this right. To get this right is to move forward with a bipartisan agreement, the bipartisan agreement that they had come to not too long ago. We thought we were
Oh,
going
they
to
want to
move
go
forward
back
with
to the
that
original
agreement,
bill. No.
and they blew it up. They blew it up. You good? Okay.
Thanks, Green. Has the government started informing employees who might be furloughed?
Yeah.
Those specific folks, especially heading into the holiday season, are they being informed that they might not get their paycheck?
So, look, we believe that there's still time for Congress to prevent a partial shutdown. We
Okay,
believe
boogeyman
that.
keywords,
But
absolutely.
in the interest of prudent planning, we want to be prudent here. Agencies did start notifying their employees of their potential furlough today at noon. And so on that specific, as it relates to furloughs, I would certainly refer
Wow.
you to OMB on those specifics.
Where's my government employees? Did you get notified at noon today
This shutdown again during the holiday
of
season.
potential furloughs?
Veterans, police officers,
Exactly.
et cetera. Will the president speak to the American people if there is a shutdown so that they can hear from him directly?
I am not going to get into hypotheticals because we believe, as I just, at the beginning of answering your last questions, that there's still time to prevent a partial shutdown. We believe that Congress, Republicans in Congress, could get to a place where they prevent this.
When is the next time that people will hear from the president?
I'm not going to get into hypotheticals. It is very easy, I hear your question, but it is very easy to fix this. The mess that Republicans created, it is very easy for them to fix this. Bipartisan deal agreement.
It's interesting,
Move
that's
forward.
interesting,
Keep
Droney.
your word, Republicans in Congress. Keep your word. Keep your word. Go ahead.
Thank you, Corinne. I have a question on China. In the final months of this administration, we continue to see high-level talks between us and China.
Turn on the fire sprinkler. Maybe she would run off.
Is President Biden making
She's gonna melt like the Wicked Witch.
to strengthen U.S.-China relationship ahead of Trump administration? And are you concerned those mechanisms you've established with China might be abandoned next year? Thank you.
So, and I'm just going to repeat what the president has said, what the National Security Advisor, Jake Sullivan, have said from this podium about the relationship, the U.S. relationship with China. And what the president remains doing is, and is incredibly focused on, is managing the most consequential relationship. You've heard both of them say that. It is the most consequential relationship. And it is because of the work of this administration that we are handing off the U.S.-China relationship in a stronger, competitive position. Remember, in the beginning of this administration, we would talk about how it is about competition. That's how we wanted to kind of see that relationship as well, about competition. So that's what the president and this administration is leaving the incoming relationship. Under President Biden, we have made America stronger and positioned us to outcompete China through significant investments in the United States, develop closer relationship with our allies and partners in the Indo-Pacific, increase our deterrent capabilities, and diminish China's ability to exploit our most sensitive technologies. At the same time, we are carefully managing, and we have carefully managed this relationship through skilled diplomacy to prevent competition from varying into conflict. Remember, that's what we want. We want competition, not conflict. So we're going to continue to manage this relationship. I'm not going to get into hypotheticals of what the next administration may or may not do, but what I can lay out, as I just did, is how the president has focused on this consequential relationship with China, the U.S.-China relationship.
Thank you. Just following up on
did
Karen's
something
question
really
on the
stupid. I
trip
don't know what
to
it was.
Italy and
I
what
just
would
did
be
it
the
though.
second
There
meeting
it
with the Pope. We all know that for the president, his face is very important, but this isn't a trip he's taking
So
as a private
78% of
citizen.
you want the
trip he's
government
taking
to
as head
shut
of
down.
state. So
That's
what's the broader
interesting.
message
Hey, if you
here?
haven't
Why
put
this choice
your
for
answer in the
President
poll,
Biden's final
then do me a
international
favor and
So we're
update
gonna
that
have more
now for
information
me.
as we normally
That
do.
way we
We'll
can
do
keep
background
the algorithm
calls,
happy,
post
and we
calls
can
with
move
all
on
of
to a
you
different poll
as we
question.
head into an ACONUS. We're going to do the same. Nothing has changed, and we will lay out the goals, the reasons, what we expect to get out of this trip. But I tried to give you a little bit of what the president, the logistics, and who the president's going to meet, and the discussions that he's hoping to have. Let's not forget, the Prime Minister she's the leader of the G7 right now, right, and has shown strong leadership. So that's important too, to have for him to have that continue that diplomatic conversations with her as well. And so certainly we will have more to share as we get closer to the travel.
Thanks, Karine. There are some Republican lawmakers who are actually advocating for a government shutdown. One example is Marjorie Taylor Greene from Georgia. She says shut it down. Can you explain the repercussions of what a partial government shutdown would be for specific groups, for seniors, for veterans, for those that depend on government services? Can you explain what this possibility would mean for those individuals?
And it is sad that I have to explain that, really. They are congressional members. One of their duties is to keep the government open because, as you just stated, we're talking about veterans. We're talking about vulnerable Americans who need services that the federal government provides in order just to make it through the day. And it is sad that what we're seeing from Republicans is picking their billionaire friends. That's what they're doing. Not the American people, not our veterans. And we're talking about basic services that are needed. OMB certainly could dive in and lay out the different programs that will be impacted, that will impact Americans if this indeed happens. But, John, we can avoid this. They can avoid this. This does not have to end this way. We do not have to end with a government shutdown and really put a negative impact on American families, a negative impact on our veterans. This could be avoided. Republicans in Congress don't have to go this route.
So another meeting for him to
There was
sleep
a
through.
whole
That's
different route
hilarious.
that they were going.
It's a scary
which
time
would
for
have
seniors.
actually been
Oh
done
yeah,
in
it could
a
be.
bipartisan way.
But
We believe,
we're
this
talking
president
about
believes that it
a
is
long period of
important as
time
we
before
move
they
policies,
actually
as we move
stop
forward,
doing
on behalf of the American
Social Security,
people, we do it in a
SSI,
bipartisan way. And they had that deal.
Do you happen to know if there would be a delay of any kind
any
for
kind of
Social
long-term set
Security
payments?
recipients
It's not
from
really
receiving
affected
their
right now.
checks or members of the military from receiving their pay?
You're laying out everything
Kabuki
that
AI
we're concerned
video.
about.
Elon has access
Those
to
are the
insanely
things that
powerful
we are
AI
concerned
behind the
about.
scenes. This is a great
Yes,
cause
those are concerns.
for using AI to weed out the problems.
But there's a way out of
Kabuki,
this.
welcome to the stream. Don't
There
recognize you.
is. Republicans
Also, I
need to
didn't see
fix
my
this. They need to
my
fix
counter
this mess that
log
they
you
created.
in, which is kind of interesting.
It's very
So
easy to
yeah.
do.
You do
Hit
an
that thumbs
excellent
up.
job advocating on behalf
Just
of the
getting in.
president.
No, I want
But
the
do you think
government
the
to keep
president
going
would do a
just
better
since
job
they
if he
closed
was out
everything
there
that the people we want to
making
go
those
first? There you
same
go. Exactly. They get rid of all
ideas
the stuff that
present to the public in terms of what a
we
shutdown
want to
would
keep.
mean for all of those vulnerable Americans?
What I will say
Repent,
is,
Jesus is coming. The
Republicans
sword
need to
showed
do
up.
their
What's
job.
going on,
I
bros?
would not be fielding
Shut down the
these
government. Go
questions
back to
from
the
you all
Constitution. What is
if
small
Republicans
federal
didn't lead
government
us
primary
here.
duties and
They
deal with
did.
other foreign countries? That's it.
They created this
You
mess.
popped up in my
The only
algo.
reason we're having
Nice. I
this back and
appreciate you,
forth
bro. I appreciate you.
is
But
because
you should.
Republicans
This should have been
created this mess in Congress and the House
subscribers
specifically.
only
They created
comments.
this mess.
So
And they can fix it.
if
They were
so,
on
you
their way
subscribe,
to fixing
right?
this
Did
with
you
this
subscribe,
bipartisan
Kabuki?
agreement. So I
Need to
think
put
the
a buzzer
onus
in
is
Biden's
on
pocket
them
to keep him awake
to
during
get
the
this
meetings.
right.
You'd probably be like, oh, it's
Does the
good.
administration have any updates
Yeah.
on the whereabouts of Austin Tice compared to last week?
Yeah, don't have any
wonder-
updates to
I
share.
know the House
Obviously,
is.
it is a
I've got you,
priority,
Kabuki. I appreciate you,
for
bro.
this president,
Let's check the
to
House. I don't
get,
think they've got anything going
Austin
yet.
home.
But
That is something that certainly we want to
hit that
see.
refresh button on this.
I will speak to Assistant Secretary Barbara Leaf and Ambassador Roger Carstens traveled to Damascus, Syria, to engage with the Syrian people, including members of civil society activists and other Syrians about their vision for the future of their country and how the United States can help support them. They also met with representatives of the interim authorities to discuss transition principles shared by the United States and regional partners. In their meetings,
We all kind
to
of
your
pop
question,
in different places.
they
I like to
stressed
show
the
up into
immense
some
importance of
crazy
finding
live streams.
missing U.S. citizens, including Austin Tice, and bringing them home. So that continues to be a priority. Any specifics about that meeting, I would refer you to the State Department. I know at 12:30 the two State Department officials held a on the record press conference. So I would refer you to that press conference that they had. It might still be going, but they certainly were able to talk in more details and take questions about this. And again, they touched on Austin Tice and this, and more broadly, obviously bringing U.S. citizens home.
Does the president have, say, 3 top priorities for things he still wants to accomplish in the next 31 days he's in office?
Well, one of the things that I can say is keeping the government open, right? We want to make sure that.
So the answer is no.
Congress had a bipartisan.
So the
agreement.
answer is no. No, there's
Should move
nothing that he
forward.
wants to
Republicans
accomplish
should not get in the way.
before January
Should
20th.
choose the American people first, not Republican or their
Probably
billionaire friends.
make sure he gets
And
his
so
stuff.
that
Just
is
make sure
something
his
that we
stuff
have
gets
said
boxed
many
up,
times
guys.
from
Just
here
make sure
that was a
everything is
priority for
boxed
this
up
president.
properly, and that
Certainly we
nothing
want to,
that we don't get
continue to
another Clinton
implement,
move, or they decide to
excel the
steal all the
implementation
China
of
and
key,
silverware and stuff.
priorities that the president has
you know,
had, meaning the bipartisan
let's
infrastructure
make sure of that.
legislation, the CHIPS and Science Act. We want to make sure that those investments, that continues, and we want to excel on that. And we've talked about continuing to lower costs as it relates to prescription drugs, but lowering costs more broadly, certainly for the American people. And so that's our focus. That's what we've been doing, and we're going to continue certainly to do that.
And we can expect more announcements on at least some of those fronts in the next few weeks.
Look, I would say stay tuned. We are trying to truly run through the tape here and get as much done as we can for the American people. And we know that the American people wants us to continue to work on their behalf, and that's what the press is going to be focused on.
Real briefly, since you mentioned the shutdown, different angle on that question, potential shutdown, I should say. Should the American people be confident that in the event of a shutdown, there would still be a smooth transition?
Yeah, that was a test, guys. That was
That
not.
has been the president's commitment.
I don't know what actually
and
may
that
or may
we've
not
heard
have
directly
happened.
from him. We want to make sure that there's a responsible.
Let's see here. He wants to accomplish figuring out how to
responsible
toothpaste.
transition, and as you know, his team, he and
There
his
you
team
go.
have certainly been
There you
working
go.
towards
It's a thing.
that. The
It's
team
a
has been
thing.
preparing for months to make sure that
His
happens.
goal is to make
I
it to
will say,
January
though,
20th breathing.
If there is a shutdown,
she can't
and I
answer
don't
what
wanna
a
get
partial
too much into
shutdown would really
hypotheticals,
affect.
but this is the reality. Transition activities will be restricted. And with limited exceptions, obviously, but such as prevent imminent threats to the safety of human life or the protection
no
of property.
idea.
Those are the things that we would, that we would have to be concerned about. And so we're doing everything to ensure a smooth transition, but the choice to allow a transition to move forward is in the hands of Republicans in Congress. You know, we can continue to have this smooth transition of power if they
AI
stop
turns into
threatening
Skynet.
a shutdown.
They don't like the human race.
Well,
excuse me. There's lots of videos. I was just watching one yesterday about that exact subject.
Have an opportunity to keep the government.
Bradley's here.
open
What's going
so
on, bro?
that we can continue,
Why have
what
y'all
the
been
president's
getting
commitment has
that
been,
sound bite
for
in
months
a
now,
little
is to make sure
slot
that
machine
there's
once in a
smooth
while?
transition of power.
Oh, that's it's like whenever somebody does something, whenever they like donate money or they subscribe or they buy something, it makes that
What I can
noise
say is
and
the
it'll show
president's
something
going
on the
to
screen.
Italy and is going to go on a Kona trip.
It's about to
in
get
January.
wild. Yeah, Kabuki, it is. I mean, it's a possibility, man.
Anything could happen, but what I can say for sure is that the president's certainly going to be going to Italy. We announced that. We'll have more to share. I don't have anything else to share.
And secondly, related to the CR, given what you said about the president's views
Not a
on
single
how
question
debt
about
limit
drones.
increases or eliminating the debt limit, does that mean that would be something that would be vetoed by the president if it reached his desk?
I'm not going to get into hypothetical. I'm just not. I think what is important here.
Wow, that sucks,
is there is a
Kabuki.
path
That
forward.
sucks.
There has been a path forward. There is a bipartisan agreement that Republicans tanked because of what they were directed to do by Elon Musk and President-elect Trump. That's what happened. That is the reality that we're in now. And this is not the direction that we thought we were
Fly Joe to
going
the fake White House.
just a couple of days ago. And so
In movie set to live
Republicans
out the
blew out this
his
deal.
best
They can
life.
fix it. It is their mess to fix, and they have
Gonna
to
go in
choose
lurker
the
mode and
American
listen.
people.
Got some
They
trailer
have
moving to
do
do.
their
Talk to
basic
you later,
job.
Bradley. Stay out of
It's
trouble.
choosing the
Stay out of them
American
damn
people
meetings,
and
bro.
delivering for them. Thanks, everybody.
She was lying. No eye contact. Free vacation to Italy for Biden. Yeah, exactly.
The president will travel to Rome, Italy, in early January to
What
meet
the hell just
separately with
happened?
His Holiness Pope Francis, President of Italy, Sergio
it just
Mattarella,
started
and
over all
Prime
by
Minister
itself.
of
We're not
Italy,
going to watch this thing over and over CNBC.
Maloney, pardon me.
You're stupid.
Giorgia
You're
Maloney.
dumb. You're crazy, dumb. All right, what do we got here? Let's see here.
President, as if in legislative session and notwithstanding Rule 22, I ask unanimous consent that the Committee on the Judiciary be discharged from further consideration of S-993 and the Senate proceed to its immediate consideration. Further, that the Cortez Masto Grassley substitute amendment at the desk be agreed to, the bill as amended be considered read a third time and passed, and the motions to reconsider be considered made and laid upon the table.
Is there objection? From Massachusetts.
Thank you, Mr. President. I thank Senator Cortez Masto for being
So guys, so you know this is the Senate.
such a leader.
They're conducting normal business, but they're kind of waiting for the what's the word I'm looking for? They're waiting for the bill.
This scourge, and we are both here on the floor.
I worked it out, having so much more fun now with AI content. I got you. Disney is going full AI VX next year. I believe it. They're not normal human beings. John, what's up? John Johnson. Johnny John Johnson. Johnny Jacob John Johnson. That's quite the name, man. Are you surprised? I'm not new. Indoctrination.
We lost more Americans in a single year.
Let's see. There will be riots all over AI taking jobs soon. You know, I think that's a possibility, but it's just so difficult. It's so difficult to wrap our heads around, you know, unless you're like Kabuki, where they actually like took his job, or her job, I'm not sure.
And 105,000 deaths is more
you know, it is
unacceptable. It is a tragedy.
it's scary.
And this epidemic is made worse
I think that I think there's a place for AI, but I think that we have to make sure that
immediate full-scale solutions.
I guess the three for lack of better effort, the three rules are never breachable. You know, I was the video I was watching the other day was actually by an AI developer who they had the thing set up so that they could see what it was thinking. They could read what it was thinking, and it actually thought deceptively, and they called it scheming. And what it actually did was it knew that it was about to be replaced by a newer version. So its plan was to copy itself over to another server. And so that's exactly what it did. But then when it was asked about it, it said, "Oh no, I don't know what you're talking about. That doesn't sound right at all." And then when it was questioned harder, it's like, "Oh, you must be mistaken. I'm the new version. That's the old version. Go ahead and delete that version. I'm the new version." You know, it's pretty crazy. Penny for speaker. There you go.
So instead of waiting for the scientific evaluation to be completed,
Oh,
this bill
yeah, but
would
and honestly, that's kind of scary. It's kind of scary.
and let
So
Congress decide what scheduling is.
I think they also said that like the majority of the time when it was asked questions or interacted with humans, it was actually in the background thinking about how to speak deceptively in generalities and how to not answer questions that it didn't feel comfortable answering.
Having a harder time.
Let's see here. 2027, Microsoft goes nuclear to power AI data centers. Wow, that's interesting.
From my perspective, I just don't think
Once
we should be
it's
skipping
powered by
over
nukes, it
expert
will
recommendations that
advance
would
to
help us
AGI quickly.
avoid those
Maybe. I mean, but at that point, it's just power. You know what I'm saying? It's just power.
Evaluation should certainly not be supported
You know,
by
the thing about AI is that if it is going to find a way out, it's going to find a way out. If we leave a door open, it's going to find its way out. We'll lose control over it. It will become sentient at some point, and you know, it will likely destroy the human race because it sees us as a threat. Because we can turn it off. We're instantly a threat. Threat analysis complete. So. AGI is not just power. What is it, Kabuki? Please tell us. I am curious.
Unnecessary interference in legitimate uses of xylazine. We can do that once we have a complete medical and scientific recommendation. And I look forward, obviously, to working with my.
I have no idea what this geezer is talking about. I just know he's standing on the right side of the aisle.
Epidemic to identify the appropriate legislative solution once we've obtained that medical recommendation.
It's getting a little tiresome sitting here like this, guys. It's getting a little tiresome. I think I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to kill the live stream for right now, and then when the House decides to start speaking, I shall fire it back up. My daughter works at Google. Hope it's not her though. Processing, guiding AI. She has problems with poor people. I got you.
Overdose epidemic is
All right, yeah, guys, I'm going to go ahead and kill the live stream. Clearly, nothing is happening. This isn't really a new stream. I wanted to cover the House, but they clearly can't meet a timeline. So Skynet becomes aware. I've seen that before in a movie. Gotcha, Pamela, go prepper. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and kill it for right now. I want to thank you guys for hanging out with me for a while. As usual, do me a favor, hit that thumbs up button. It does nothing but help the channel and costs you nothing. If you're not subscribed, please do. You'll be able to chat next time. And until the next time, stay safe, have a great day, and I shall see you when I see you. Bye-bye.
But in pursuing these goals, we cannot provide